Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times, talking books, talking horror, and I'm finally here to talk to you guys about all the things that I managed to read in the month of October.
It's coffee time!
So October has been one of the first months where I actually started packing all my stuff, and it was a little bit challenging for me to get time for reading, but I chose books that were small, and that has enabled me to read 10 things in the month of October, which is actually great. It's better than the last couple of months, and I've also read things that were not specifically for me and some of the things that I really loved. So I'm here to talk to you about everything that I read in Spooky Month. If you're new here, hi, we like to rate our books here with coffee mugs, and I always start with the lowest rating to the highest so that I always end up, with some positive vibes. So the first book that I'm here to talk to you about was a really big disappointment for me. It's one of those books that you see the cover, you kind of read the synopsis, and you're like, I think I'm gonna love that. Well, no. You know those, they deceive you. You think you're gonna be so into them, but no. Well, that was for me Prom House by Chelsea Muller. So this is supposed to be, and I say supposed to be, a horror thriller because the horror was barely there, and it was also not thrilling. So that's where most of my problem came. I was able to finish it because I was listening to this one on audiobook while I was packing things, so it was entertaining, I guess, to listen to, and it didn't require much effort from my side, but nevertheless I was disappointed. Now, the premise was that we have a group of friends that are going to celebrate prom night, and they decide to go to this fancy house in an island, by the sea, and it's going to be like such a great kind of party. I think it's before prom, and I think it's a group of like 5 or 6 friends, and while they're there, apparently, the friends start to appear dead, murdered one by one. So I thought, this is a really cool premise. I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be a cool slasher. No, it was basically all teenage drama, and it's nothing wrong with that, but I did not expect this from this book. It was basically the main character going through her teenage angst and her problems with guys and her love issues, and I was like, this is not it. On top of that, it was not even thrilling. I was not like in tension, there was no suspense. But the thing that I feel like bothered me the most was that the characters are trying to figure out who is killing them one by one, and they start to start talking about what if this guy could be a suspect, what if this girl could be a suspect, and they go through all of the reasons why they can or cannot be a killer. And it's like, you're not supposed to tell me these things. You're not supposed to go all over that. You're supposed to create tension in a thrilling scenario in which me, the reader, is supposed to, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and that's the fun of it, for me to try to decide who could possibly be the killer here. And it was just like, it was a big nope. Time to go to my controversial opinion of the month. We have now The Taking of Jake Livingstone, and I was extremely excited to pick up this book. The cover is absolutely stunning, and we follow here Jake, who is a teenager that starts a new high school. Not only is he the new guy at St. Clair's, he's also the new black guy. And apart from all of that it's already a challenge when you're a teenager, he is confronted with his gift, which is basically that he can see ghosts, he can see dead people, especially those that are angry, that are seeking for revenge, the ones that still have some sort of business to clear with the living. So based on that, I was really excited about this book because it sounded like something for me. My issue with this book was it felt perhaps a little bit underdeveloped. It felt a little bit unpolished, unfinished for me. And there was a lot of times where the book gets messy, and it was really hard for me to really enjoy the book. there were too many things that were introduced in the book, and I felt like we didn't have enough time to develop everything. And it felt like a lot of things were introduced and we never got to any kind of conclusion, which is really frustrating for me as a reader, being this a standalone. Another thing was for me that we'd never really get an understanding on how Jake got his gift and how it really works. We don't get like a kind of description, and so the author uses this description less gift to, you know, expand it as he feels like. It just feels like anytime he wants to add a scene that he just came up with, he just twists and turns his gift and whatever Jake can do so that it fits that scene that he wants to give us. I hope that this makes sense. I just feel like this gift is never defined, and then the author just keeps adding things to the gift. He keeps expanding the things that Jake can do, just that so he can use it for certain things, certain plot lines that he wants to add to the book. So that was a problem for me. The moments where we get a little bit of romance or a background story on Jake's life, they feel misplaced in the book. Again, I just felt like the book was messy at times, and the problem was that all the questions are left kind of unanswered. We don't know where he got his gift from. We don't know why a certain ghost might be trying to target him or contact him. Like, a lot of things just are left unexplained, and it was really frustrating for me. So yeah, this was sadly not a good book for me, but like I always say, it's just a personal opinion, personal preference. We all love complete different things. I know many people have really loved this book, so do not let my review, you know, prevent you from picking up this book, supporting the author, buying the book, renting it from the library. Just, you know, give it a go if you wanted to read it. But I'm just kind of sharing, you know, my experience with the book. Moving on to our next book, we have Dead Leaves, 9 Tales from the Witching Season by Keelan Patrick Burke. Now, this one I picked up because, of course, Halloween season, and I thought some short horror stories would be perfect for me to catch up with my reading and still have time for everything else that I have to do. And even though I really enjoyed these tales and the variety of, you know, horror that we get, sadly, they did not have that Halloween flavor to them. Like, I didn't really feel like they were specifically made for Halloween, really. They didn't give me the Halloween vibes, but they're still good horror tales. And what I love the most about this book is that at the end there is a big list of recommended books, like horror books and horror movies that you can check out, and I thought that was fantastic and a great idea to put together for somebody that wants to, you know, check out other books and horror movies perhaps for the spooky season. Next, there's Someone Inside Your House, and here's where you guys are probably gonna go and follow me, see you later, unsubscribe right away, because I gotta tell you, I am ready to make my book versus movie video, and sadly I would like to report that I like the movie better in some ways when it comes to the horror specifically. So if you don't hate me yet, if you're still watching, the thing is, the movie is pretty much a simple teen fun slasher, and the way that they interpreted the killer, I thought it was a lot more fun and it was a lot creepier and helped to build up more kind of uncertainty and tension towards the killer than the book. So when it comes to the horror, I have to choose the movie. So when it comes to the book had better character development because the book had more time for us to get to know the characters. So the main story is the following. Makani moves from Hawaii to Nebraska to live with her grandmother because something happened to her, something really traumatic, and her parents decide to send her away for a fresh start. So she starts high school, starts making new friends, and when she's starting to really adapt and feel at home, some students from her high school start to appear murdered one by one, and the killer seems to be someone that is targeting them for a specific reason, trying to leave a message. And we're gonna follow kind of McCanny trying to figure out who is the killer, as well as the police department trying to catch this killer. Now, like I said, this book has better character development, and we get to see a lot more from the relationship between McCanny and her grandmother, which I really loved, and also McCanny and Ollie, who is her love interest, and I love to see a lot more of their relationship in the book. But I felt like the horror was on a really second place here. It was not as great as the movie was, and my problem is that when, you know, we're getting to discover who the killer might be, the way that everything is revealed, I'm not gonna spoil it, but everything is revealed in a way that it doesn't have any impact. It's not shocking. It's kind of like, you know, as you're talking to somebody about what you ate yesterday, like super not important. And in my opinion, it's revealed a tad too early, and it completely removes the tension forever. So that's my take on the book. I still want to make a more kind of in-depth movie versus book video, so if you're interested, I'll definitely get to that as soon as possible, because now I have finally read the book and watched the movie. Then I read a book that I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun, and that is Kill the Babysitter by Stephanie Sparks. And this was so much fun, and at the beginning I was a little bit, you know, worried because our main character Jane is really obnoxious. She's really annoying, and she just wants to make money but doesn't want to work in a burger place for so little money. So she decides that she's going to babysit kids, even though she has no experience, she hasn't taken any classes for it. She just wants the quick buck. She just wants money to buy her you know, the perfect car that she has in mind. So she ends up working for Mrs. Harker and to take care of her children. So Mrs. Harker has a set of rules that are given and written to Jane the day that she starts the job. And one of the rules, which is important, is do not let the kids play with the Ouija board. So the first night that Jane takes care of the kids start to get a little bit on her nerves, and she just wants to get them to calm down. So she's like, you know, what harm can it do that they play a little bit with the Ouija board? And so they all play with the Ouija board, and that's where, of course, our problems are going to start in this book. Now, what I really loved about this story is that the character of Jane changes a lot throughout the book. And not only that, but there were so many unexpected twists and turns in this story. I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely gonna check out other things by the author. I think if you're looking for a quick, fun horror read, this one is going to be a great pick. Then I read a short book that was so much fun, and that is Bone Killers: The Shopping Spree by Betsy Haynes. This was so much fun. I'm hoping that I can find other books on this series of Bone Chillers, because I think they're all gonna be really great. So here we follow a group of girls that are excited to go to the mall for a special kind of sales that they're doing, and they're even queuing to get into the mall on time to get prices and things like that. And that day in the mall, something strange starts to happen. Some of the main character's friends start to disappear, and there is something horrific going on the mall, something that involves, I'm gonna tell you, mannequins. That's all I'm gonna say. I had so much fun with this book. I think it was great. It was fast-paced, it was entertaining. This is another one that had some quick twists and turns that you might not see coming, and if you can get your hands into this book, I know it's not so easy to get, you know, these kind of more vintage books, but it was just a lot of fun. So if you can get it, or if you already have a copy, I really recommend you to give it a go. Then we have a novella that was just released for Halloween, and that is The Last Testament of Krypton Smythe by Gavin Gardner. So I read Gavin's first novel, Foray, and I reviewed it on my channel, and I really enjoyed it because it was psychological horror. It was unexpected. It had also some really interesting themes incorporated in it, and I was really excited when he was coming up with this novella because I absolutely fell in love with the plot. We follow here a man that is able to see when he sees people's faces, when and how they're gonna die. So he will see someone, and then he's able to see like heart attack, 26 years. And he has never really tested that theory. Like, he knows he can read that information, but is it something that actually ends up happening? And on top of that, he's always tried to stare himself in the mirror and see if he can predict his own death, but he's unable to. So his own death is a mystery to him. So I absolutely loved that idea for the book. Now, this novella is a lot more than that. It is, like also For Rye was, I believe that, you know, the author's take on horror, it is more grounded on the real horrors of the real world instead of some, you know, supernatural things. And I absolutely love books that talk about horror in reality, like something that can happen to your neighbor, to your family members, even to you. That for me is a lot more bone chilling than other things. So if you're looking for a quick, fast-paced, interesting novella that is also really disturbing, I would really encourage you to pick this one up. There is also a lot of interesting things going on in this book apart from that power that he has. Also, if you still have not read For Rye, at the end of this novella there is, I believe, the first couple of chapters of For Rye, so that you can see if you would also be interested to pick up his novel. Moving on to middle grade horror, we have The Bewitching of Adaline Jones by Phil Hikes. This is the second book on the series and I really enjoyed it. And I love that we got to see something different, and I feel like the horror has been a little bit elevated. I felt like this one was spookier than the first book. So in this story we follow Adaline and her mom as they go to spend the summer at a cottage, and there are these kind of stones that Adaline sees that are called the witch stones, and of course there is a lot of like legends about them and witches that were supposed to live there. And following a little bit the same pattern that the first book has, Adaline starts to investigate about these witch stones, trying to figure out how much of truth is behind those legends, and of course she is going to end up digging up some really dark secrets. And this one was a lot more action-packed. It had a lot more horror than the first one, so definitely if you loved the first book, I would really say that you have to continue with the series because it gets better. Let's go now with a classic, The Boyfriend by R.L. Stine. So I still have not read this book. I think it's one of the most popular from Point Horror, since it was written by R.L. Stine himself, and I have to say I really enjoyed this book because it was so unexpected. It's another story that had a main character that was annoying to me. Joanna, she basically has this boyfriend that loves her and she loves him too, but he has a flaw. He's not popular, he's not rich, so she already assumes he's not going to be anybody important in the future, so it doesn't really match her plans. She wants someone that is going to be popular, that's going to be rich, that's going to be able to take care of her. So of course, how can you like this person? You cannot. And then something happens, her boyfriend ends up in an accident, and according to the synopsis of the book that already tells you, he's gonna come back from the dead for one last date with Joanna. So I just love it, you know. I just love the idea that he's gonna come back from the dead to haunt her because she was such a, you know, biatch to him. And I gotta tell you, there were things in this book that were just so crazy and nuts, but I really loved it. So this has been so far one of my favorite from the Point Horror books that I have read so far. And my favorite read for the month of October has been Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney. Now, I'm not giving this book a high rating because I follow Cameron and I like him, you know, as a person, and I enjoy his videos. I really love this book, and it's something that I'm gonna be rereading for sure for Halloween season, the years to come. When I got this book, I didn't read it right away, and I had been waiting for Halloween season, and this time I thought it was gonna be the perfect match, since, you know, my lack of time was a perfect opportunity for me to read short horror stories. And I gotta tell you, I was not ready of how much love was in this book for Halloween. Like, you can feel it in every pore. You smell Halloween, you taste Halloween in these stories. That's exactly what I wanted. And not only that, but Cameron has created here a universe. All the stories are connected, the characters are connected. They all ended up one way or another in Autumn Crow Valley, Ohio. And this is a place where strange things happen, where people disappear, and honestly, I would love to live there. And the thing is, once you get there, you can never leave. So I mean, I would take it. I would take it anytime, any day. And I just felt like the way that he crafted that universe, it was just so geniusly done, and the way that he also kind of incorporated a story that explains the title of the book, the idea that he had for Autumn Crow, and it was just fantastic. Absolutely loved it. And as you guys probably know, Cameron is coming up with a new series that's going to be called Autumn Crow High, and he's going to keep expanding that universe, and I just absolutely love it, and I just cannot wait to get more and more and more of Autumn Crow Valley. Alright guys, so this is everything that I managed to read in the month of October, which I'm pretty happy about because I had so little time. I'm glad that I managed to squeeze in some books, and I'm glad that I got to read some that I really enjoyed, even though, you know, I had also a couple that were not for me, but all in all, I'm really happy. Let me know down below if you read these books, what you thought of them, and also let me know what is the best book that you read this Halloween season, one that you say, this is such a good horror book for Halloween, so maybe I'll put it on my next year's Halloween pile. Let's talk about Halloween books down below. Thank you so much, you guys, as always, for watching, and I'll hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!